Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Shot of Weeb. I don't remember what episode this is, but this is the show where we drink and talk about anime. It's a lot of fun. I'm your host, or one of your hosts, the Seaweed Ambassador, and we're joined as always by the Epic Wob.
The Epic Wob. I think this is episode 7, because we're on our third rotation.
That's right, because this is the time where we picked one that neither of us had seen.
Which
makes it a little more difficult.
May I go into a little bit of a story time as a preface?
Let's do it, dude.
This will explain some of the statements I had to you previously, Seaweed, but it also explains to the viewers some of the things I might say later.
Okay.
So, when we talk about the episodes that neither of us have seen, we sort of both throw a bunch of names in the hat that we're interested in, and then we decide on one. And I was the one who suggested this week's episode. We didn't say what this week's episode is. We watched... Would you like to say what we watched?
Yeah, we watched Girls und Panzer, the tank girl anime.
So I was the one who suggested Girls und Panzer.
Yes.
Because I had heard of it many years ago. Or so I had thought. So I found out about 6 hours ago when I went to do some research. I have a friend who does live streaming, okay? And he has a segment called Virtual Novel November.
Yeah.
And we came across one years ago that we talked about doing. We never wound up doing. I was going to go on his show and we were going to play it together.
Okay.
A visual novel / dating sim called Panzer Models, where the girls are tanks.
Gotcha. Okay, so it's like a bit.
I thought that's
the Ship Girl game.
Yes, yeah. It's kind of like it is. Are you from the Kantai Collection?
I Kantai Collection also. Yeah, those are both the same.
Yeah, I was thinking of Panzer Models when I suggested Girls und Panzer. This is not at all what I thought I was getting into.
No, this is not at all that.
I suggested this show and it subsequently got chosen on a faulty premise because I had it confused with a $10 virtual novel.
Yeah, see, I had heard of this anime before. I remember it being really popular and people really liking it, and then it kind of went out of public consciousness, and then I just didn't hear about it again until I believe it was Corey Eden made a video on it, and then whatever. Anyways, so I didn't know what this was. I knew what this was entirely, but I didn't know what I was in for.
Yeah, because this is a bit quote unquote of an old show. It's like eight years ago. I think it was 2012.
2012.
The show was airing. The show was airing when the world ended, according to Crunchyroll.
Yeah, this aired the year before the first season of Love Live, School Idol Project, the original Love Live series.
Oh, no. That'll
come into play later.
Oh, will it? Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's called Forward. It's called Forward. That's what we like to call those.
So yeah, I was expecting a show where the girls were tanks. This is not a show where the girls were tanks.
No, they are not tanks. They drive tanks.
They are not tanks. They drive tanks, yes. So, what's the plot? What's the plot of Girls und Panzer?
I don't know, dude. I guess it's these girls. First off, this girl transfers to a new school.
This is a transfer student.
Miho Nishizumi transfers to...
Nishizumi.
Yeah, that's correct, because it's the Nishi... Whatever. Anyway, she transfers to school.
No. I'm reminding myself. I do not... Okay,
I do not remember...
correcting
me, and I was like, I got the page up.
I was reminding myself because this is maybe spoiling my opinion on the show a little bit. I watched all 12 episodes of the show. I do not remember a single character's name except for Hana, because that's flower, if I'm not mistaken, and she does flowers.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I picked up on obvious symbolism.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay, cool. Wow. Again with another Sakura. Okay.
Sakura has pink hair. Amazing.
Except that's a little bit more of a stretch than Hana does flowers. Flower does flowers. Anyways, that's nitpicking. So the new girl transfers in, and she doesn't want to do, what is it called? It's called
tankery.
What?
Are
That's
we not
what my sub said.
Wait, what did your sub say?
I don't remember, but like it's also different on Sensha Do.
Okay, Senshodo is like the word that was in the description. So I'm gonna give full disclosure here. I'm still trying to figure out a new home, because I was a scrub lord who used Kiss Anime. Rest in peace, honor your soul. So I had to go to Crunchyroll for this one, and I had to switch to Crunchyroll, even though I never wanted to go there. It's too mainstream for a man of my taste.
Yeah, and he also doesn't like to support anime officially. That's a joke. That's a joke.
Look, now that I'm switching to Crunchyroll, I might be like going premium because I want to see stuff the week of. Okay, so get over it. Either way, this isn't an argument for support of any specific company. We're not shills.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah. So anyways, we got So my subs, I got them. They're fan subs. So it said Senshado for me, you know.
Yeah. So whenever they said in like the actual word, I could hear them say Senshodo. That's what they actually said. It got translated in the Crunchyroll dub as tankery, which is the stupidest. Sub? No, sub. I don't do dubs. Sorry.
Okay, I was about to say. Did you watch this dub? Because that sounds like a bad time.
I watched dubs in specific circumstances. I did not watch the dub of this. I watched the subtitle. The subtitle, so the description put Senshodo, but the subtitles said tankery. And tankery is the stupidest word, and I absolutely love it.
If it's the show.
I couldn't get enough of them talking about tankery.
Yeah. So anyways, the Senshodo, or tankery, is essentially tank battles. They just ride around in tanks, and cute girls fight other cute girls, and that's
in it. World War II tanks, specifically World War II tanks.
Yeah, they're all pretty much. Yeah, they're all World War II tanks. And then so she doesn't want to do this because she has like PTSD from her previous high school where she did it, and then but then she gets forced into it by the student council. And
yeah, they like straight blackmail her into it because they're like, everyone else did tankery. They list it as like a mandatory elective. Like they have the electives cards and everything's written in like tiny font except for tankery, which takes up half the card.
Yeah, and it's not mandatory, but like it's highly encouraged because of some mysterious reason that the student council is pushing this, which we find out later is a really. Oh man, there's so much of this show I don't like.
We're not supposed to say whether we like it or not yet.
There's so much of the show that I made.
This show was something to get through. They also offered you like a bunch of goodies if you went through tankery, like a ton of excused absences and like bonus credits. It counted as like triple credits or something like that.
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. Like you could basically just take it and you would pass school without having to pass your classes.
Take tankery, you'd finish high school.
No, they basically, because one of the girls was gonna. That's how they recruited one of their teammates. Is because she was gonna fail out because she could never make it to school on time.
Yeah, that's how they recruited the depressed girl. She was depressed. Changed my mind. That's just straight up what it is.
Well, she also had low blood sugar.
And her grandma was mean, but that doesn't happen till later.
Yeah, but like, okay, like, what is the plot of this show though? Like, there's not really like much of an overarching plot.
Girls get in tanks and shoot at other girls in tanks.
The plot of the show is like just to get them into tank battles. That's it.
Yeah, which, I mean, was cool enough on its own. I found the tank battles really interesting. If that was a sport, I would watch it. I don't even like sports.
I do like sports, and I would not watch this one or I would watch this one specifically because it's so weird. This whole like this tank battle thing is so weird because I don't know if it's like realistic or not.
I mean, it's not. So there were two like in between episodes that I didn't watch. I watched half of one of them by mistake. They were like episode 5.5 and 10.5 or something like that.
Oh, I didn't watch those. Those were those like recap episodes or something?
They were recap episodes, and my anime list actually considers them as separate series. I watched half of 10.5 on accident because I just clicked next episode and let it run.
Gotcha.
And they like recapped the rules. And basically the tanks are equipped with like a whole bunch of safety mechanisms. None of the rounds that any of them use will pierce the tanks. If one tank shoots another tank, basically a bunch of sensors calculate the angle and the velocity and the location of the hit and determine whether that would have destroyed the tank, and that's how they mark if it's like out of commission or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I figured it was. Though some of the damage is like ridiculous, and the way they're talking about it, they're like in the first episode especially, or I think it was the first battle they had against the what was the name of that school, the English team.
Oh, the British people. The British people weren't Sanders. Those were the Americans.
Yeah.
The British people. I did not realize this because I don't think they mentioned their names at all. I did not notice until I pulled up the character listings that the British characters. So there's a bunch of teams from like different countries. The British characters are all named
different countries. They're all from Japan. They just represent different countries.
Wait, is that what it is? I thought they like actually sailed to Russia. We'll get to the sailing part in a moment. I thought they actually sailed to Russia.
Maybe. I don't know.
They were like, we went super north and it's snowing.
Yeah, but in Japan, if you go like really north during the winter, you can get heavy snow.
Well, no, because there was a single line where they're like, it's because we've passed this latitude north. I think they actually sailed to Russia.
I mean, like the north of Japan is in the same latitude as Russia.
Is it? No, it's...
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Either way, whatever. The British characters are named after teas, and I will not stand for this.
Yeah, the main girl, the only one I remember is named Darjeeling.
Which is a really good variety of tea, might I just say.
Might you just? But the thing that I wanted to get at there was like, they mentioned because Miho was like sticking her head out of the tank, which is like ridiculously dangerous. They were like, yeah, wait, weren't you gonna get hit? And she's like, no, the chance of somebody getting hit is so small. And the whole time I was like, yeah, but if you're hit, the chance of you dying is like 100%.
Yeah,
because,
no, that's
there was actual explosions. Like they were like the tanks were getting destroyed. They would ask at the end of whenever like one of the tanks was disqualified, they'd be like, "Hey, are you guys okay?" Like it was like
that's because the tanks could like. This is not a case for or against, but that's because the tanks could like completely roll over. Like a hard blast could roll a tank, and if someone's sticking out the top of the tank and that thing flips over, you're dead.
Yeah, well, like, but also like even when like the tanks were like hit, and like whenever they would go and raise the white flag, because the tank would do that automatically. Whenever it would happen, like they would always like radio that tank, be like, "Hey, are you guys okay?" And they would always come like, yeah, we're fine. But like, even if they hadn't flipped or anything, which like, I didn't know that
probably
the tanks were like meant to like censor with sensors and all that stuff.
Yeah, because they talk a little bit. This is one complaint I have about the show. We're not even that far in. I'm going to drop a complaint right now. So many things are explained in just like one-off lines that it's so easy to miss them. Because they talk a little bit about, like, the inside of the tank is lined in carbon or whatever, and that's supposed to keep people alive.
But, like, a lot of the explanations didn't make sense, but, like, whatever. Like, that's fine. Anime magic, I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal for me.
Well, no, because there's one-off line I don't even know what our format is here. We're just kind of going because I want to complain. Dang it!
That's
There's
all I want to do
one
too.
single one-off line that bothered me so much because at the end of the first episode there's like a plot reveal. So like they're talking about tankery, they go do tankery, blah blah blah. There's mandatory electives, whatever. They do a pan out at the very end of the episode after they blackmail her into joining tankery, which is just not cool.
Yeah.
And they do like this huge pan out, and the plot twist is that the school and its entire surrounding city are on the back of a giant carrier ship.
Yep.
And I'm like, yo, this is so cool. They're on the back of a ship. What kind of post-apocalyptic world is it? They never address it.
No, they do.
Well, no, that's what I'm... Let me get... hold on. They never address it except for one singular line where they explain the reason behind it. It has no plot relevance whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of goes back to, like, the whole thing of, like, everything in the show exists to get them to the next tank battle.
Yeah, except not even this, really. Because, like, there's one bit...
Well, this gave them a reason to, like, to fight in tanks. Because it's really expensive to manage the ship, and so the school is going to be shut down. Oh, spoilers. Oh, man. Sorry, if you saw Love Live, you've seen the better version of this.
I've not seen Love Live, so you may have just spoiled me. How could you do this?
They say that in the first episode. Their goal is to save the school.
So the reason they're on ships is there's a throwaway line when they're going through the underbelly of the ship looking for tanks. Because they have like 3 different episodes where they're trying to find tanks.
Because they keep needing more tanks to fight. Because each team gradually has more and more tanks. And the school, all these girls are poor, so they're not able to just buy a tank.
Yeah, because it turns out the school sold most of their good tanks.
Yeah, because they need them. Which is like, that's like a really late game thing in the show. Like episode 10.
Yeah, something like that. But either way, when they're going in the basement of the ship, someone's like, oh yeah, people were concerned that our education wasn't good enough, so they put us on school ships. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't explain anything.
Okay, so what it was like the government wasn't giving enough, or wasn't like doing enough for like good education, and the only way to go private was to go like off of the country. And so they built ships, and I didn't say it was good. I just said it was more.
I mean, I guess it's a reason, but like that was episode 1. I'm just kind of like, this is a show. The characters are uninteresting and things are just kind of happening. But then they pan out on the ship and I'm like, oh, that's a really big twist. Where can this go? And then they barely acknowledge it going forward.
Yeah, it really doesn't get talked about that much afterwards. Except that one moment. And like it doesn't even like ever matter either.
I'm gonna break the order a little bit here.
What?
It's really hard for me to not like a show.
Yeah.
This was not fun. I had to put in effort to finish this show. I had to break it up with playing StarCraft. I had to break it up with watching a different anime. This show just kind of happens, and not even that well.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't... So, like, I mean, you know, I normally, I can sit down and watch the whole thing. Just one go. But you know that, like, when I started the show last night, I watched episode 1, and maybe I watched episode 2. Yeah, I watched episode... And then I took a break. Then I watched episode 2. Then I watched a 2-hour-long movie before I watched another episode. And then I watched episodes 3 through 5. This show, it was just... I didn't care about anything. Like, it was an obligation.
I don't remember if I've already said this, but I don't remember a single character's name.
Yeah. No, I mean,
that's how little I was invested in this show.
I only remember Darjeeling, okay? Because, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I remember Darjeeling's name. Because I was looking for a GIF to send to you through Discord. Through Discord's GIF thing. And I just searched Girls und Panzer. And this, you know those like NFL GIFs? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like where it's like an
Uh,
animated, like the Madden GIF generator. It's like an animated football
Basically,
player.
I know
and
the
text
general
behind
idea
it.
of it.
Well, all it
Okay.
said on it, it was like just a football player or whatever, and it said, Darjeeling is a poo-poo head. That's all it said. And it's the only reason I remember her name.
I mean, I didn't even know that Darjeeling was the character's name until like 30 minutes ago. Like, I legitimately did not
Yeah.
catch any of their names.
They
Because
only
they
said the
fight-
names like a couple times.
Because they fight a couple other countries. They fight representatives of, I'm assuming, Britain, who are the people named after tea.
Yeah.
Then they fight Sanders, who are Americans.
Yep.
And you know she's American because she's blonde.
Uh-huh. And she says it speaks English.
On occasion, yeah, she throws out English phrases. And then they fight the Russians, and she's a dick.
She's great. She's the only character I actually liked.
I hated her so much.
Oh man.
They fight the Russians, and then they fight more Japanese because it's the main character's sister.
Yeah.
Okay, we should talk about the main character's background. So the main character... Oh boy, this is hard to get through. The main character is the youngest daughter... Tanker is only girls, by the way. Because only girls are allowed to like tanks.
Yeah, there's not really many guys in this show.
There are, in fact, like 2. And they're all either characters' fathers or characters' butler.
Yeah, they're like father figures kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So the main character is like the daughter of a very prestigious, like...
Senshodo school.
Yeah, so like her mother is like the head of a particular practice of tankery. And their like
very
style...
well-renowned.
Their style is strength and victory over anything else, but the main character has heart and cares about her teammates, and I've totally never heard this story before. I've played Phoenix Wright, and it's the same bloody thing. Holy crap.
Have you ever watched a shonen anime? They're all the same.
Do you
Naruto
realize...
has strength and heart. Luffy has strength and heart. Goku has strength and heart. Ichigo has strength and heart.
Do you realize how tired a trope has to be for me to pick up on it?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I was just like, cool, this is the same story as literally everything anywhere. It's, oh, man.
Yeah, no, and like, the thing that I really didn't like... So, okay. We're just hopping all over the place. Whatever. Screw the plot. Who cares?
There is no plot. It's tank battles. Girls go in tanks to shoot
Yeah.
tanks.
The thing I really didn't like about her sister is
She's
like
dick.
her... What?
Her sister's just a dick for, like, all of the show.
Well, no. Her personality doesn't make any sense because like when she like respects, or she's like, oh yeah, no, I understand why she's going like doing it this way and like trying to protect her crew, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then when her mom says like you better beat her, she's like, oh yeah, no, don't even worry about it. She's not gonna live to see the next day.
Yeah,
It's
she's
like-
kind of like riding both sides of the fence here.
And like but like she's never like fully like on either side. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
and-
But like, well, like she's simultaneously neither on each side and also on each side at the same time. It's so weird.
Yeah, and the mother's just, like, awful, because at one point, like, the team, it's like Urai Girls Academy or whatever it is. They're at, like, the national level semifinals. You're right, because it is nationals, which means there's just a bunch of other teams
Yeah.
in Japan for some
It's
reason.
just all Japanese teams, and they're
There's-
just representing these other countries.
There's
from
just a
World
bunch
War
of
II.
Russians in Japan for some reason, a bunch of Americans in Japan for some reason.
They're not
Maybe
even
they all just
Americans, though.
docked.
They just like do that. That's just part of their character trope.
Maybe they've just, like, docked at Japan, because remember, everyone's on school ships? I don't know. It's weird. But no, the mom's awful because she's like, I'm going to spectate this national semifinals tournament my daughter's in for the explicit reason of disowning her. Because she represented this one school for a while, and then the tank in front of her got... this is spoilers from, like, episode, like, 7. I don't care.
Who cares?
The tank in front of her. Spoiler alert for the whole show. I'm so angry at this show.
Okay, continue with what you're saying.
The tank in front of the main character gets her tires, not tires,
The
tank
treads.
tires, whatever,
Treads.
shot out.
Treads.
She treads, I don't care, falls in a lake, and the main character climbs out of her tank to go stop the girl from drowning, and her mom's not okay with this because they lost a tournament? Because she was stopping someone from literally dying?
Here's the thing, though, right? They showed that flashback, like 7 or 8 times throughout the show?
Oh, it came up a bunch of times.
And every time they added another piece to it, right? But she never opened the door. So, clearly...
Yeah, no, we never see her actually get the people out.
Right, clearly the girls were still in there. But, also, if this is supposed to be such a safe sport, and it's a sport, it's not like they say so many times, this is not war. This is not war. They say it so many times.
Yeah, because the in-between episode also was like, this is a combat sport. It can't be 100% safe, but it's as safe as possible.
Yeah, and oh God, I don't even know where I was going with that, but we never see any of the girls in that tank, and I don't know if that's either they just didn't want to design more characters, or if they might have been implying that the girls had escaped prior, which doesn't make any sense. But the mom is, I will give them credit. The mom never gets a sudden redemption. She doesn't be like, oh, now I finally understand what my daughter was. No, she stays the same way the whole time.
Well, yeah, she doesn't change because none of the characters change.
Except Miho's sister, because her sister constantly changes.
Yeah, okay, and
I guess also there is a little bit of development of the what were they? The hall monitors.
Okay, the hall monitors. Oh, I could go on a whole segment about the hall monitors.
The one hall monitor she changed a little bit.
I suppose Hana's mother also changed because she's like, my daughter makes flowers. She should never drive a tank. Oh no.
And then she banished her from the house, and then she's like, then she comes to the finals, and it's like, oh, okay. And then, but also because Hana is trying to do this to better her ability to make flowers, and then she makes her own style or whatever, and her mom accepts her. So that was
she
cool.
makes
nice.
tank flowers.
Yeah, I mean that was nice. I don't know anything about flower arrangement and stuff. Know nothing about that, but that was a nice moment, I think, of her mom accepting her for who she is rather than trying to make her what she wants her to be.
But the main cast just kind of is. The side cast, the rest of the tank girls, they're just kind of there. Now, I will admit, I'll talk about this a little bit in a later point because I want to do, it'll be a short segment, but I want to do a segment where we just talk about things that we liked. Because there are some things I want to bring up that I liked about the show.
There are some things I liked about the show as well that I would like to bring up.
Yeah, so let's do a segment just on that. Because I thought some of the side characters were fun. None of them change. They're all one note. Everyone's one note.
Pretty much, yeah.
But I kind of liked the idea behind some of the one note characters. We can get to that.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get
But
to that.
overall, nobody changes. There's no development.
Yeah, no, there's really not much development. It like I've said so many times, everything in the show exists just to get to the next tank battle.
Which I suppose I can't complain about much, because I liked the tank battles.
Those parts were fun.
Everything else was a chore to get through. The organized tank matches, those were kind of fun. Everything else was just there.
Yeah. The thing I really didn't like about those, though, the tank battles, that is, I didn't like how it was everything in it was so realistic except for the way the tanks moved.
Right? How do you mean?
So like the tactics they were using, and even because I was talking to my friend who's he knows tanks, that's war stuff, that's his thing, and I was asking him some stuff about the show to get because I wanted to see how realistic it was, and so the first thing I asked him, I said, hey, can tanks Tokyo drift? Um, and
I forgot that's the thing they do.
so many times, and he sent me a video of a tank Tokyo drifting, and then he was like, "Yeah, but it needs like ridiculous amounts of speed to do that." And I was like, "Yeah, obviously." And so then I went like, and I asked him tank by tank. I was like, "Okay," and then he said, "Okay, what tank was doing it?" I was like, "Okay, well, what about these tanks here?" I gave him the names. I don't remember the names because I don't care enough.
Oh, I don't remember any of the tanks except for like the Mouse.
I do remember the Mouse and the Panzer IV. The Panzer IV is what the main character drives.
I couldn't even remember the Panzer IV. The Mouse is the only one I remember because like the final school has like this big ass tank.
Yeah, it's a Nazi tank also. Which that's actually, I think that's what that final school is supposed to be, because they use the Iron Cross and everything.
Oh, did they really? I didn't notice
yeah,
that.
Well, I don't know if it was the Iron Cross, but it was like a black like cross, and I'm pretty sure they were. And I think they only used German tanks.
I actually didn't notice that. I'll be honest. I did notice that the Russians, their like logo was a set of rulers and I think a hammer set up like the sickle and hammer.
It was a set of rulers. Then it was one of those long like art rulers that has like the thing on the end of it that you can like put it up against a piece of paper and like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't like an actual hammer, but it was supposed to be the sickle and the
it was very clearly the sickle and hammer.
Yeah, it was clearly that.
I mean, it was yellow on red even because I sent Seaweed a screenshot when they were in the Russians' like dining room, and I saw that in the back, and I screenshot and sent him to him like, wait, hold on, there's communists?
And I said, no, Russians.
I was so confused.
Yeah, but like they use the Iron Cross, I'm pretty sure, or like something very similar. And I think that's what they were supposed to be. Because I'm pretty sure they only use German tanks, but I don't know for sure. Don't like quote me on that because I'm a little dumb and don't know tanks. Because all I know about tanks is what I saw in the World of Tanks commercials.
That's more than I know. I knew nothing about tanks going in this. They're just like tanks are tanks, okay? Tanks are tanks.
Yeah. Anyway, so I was asking him questions. I was like, "Hey, can tanks drift?" And he was like, they got to be really, really high speed and stuff." And I was like, "Okay." And then I was like, "Okay, so in the first battle, do you remember how the volleyball team got like behind the one tank of the like British team, and like they rose up from the ground as like the British team was like opening the garage door?" And like
yes. Yeah. Because the garage door opens and then like the parking space lifts up out of the ground.
And they like shoot them point blank, right? Like right in the back, right? Because I was asking about armor and stuff, and he was like, "Well, you want to go for the sides. The sides typically like have really weak armor because the front is like the most heavily armored, apparently." Which makes sense, if you're facing somebody, you want that to be pretty well armored. And so I asked myself, okay, well, so let's say this specific tank took a point blank shot from this tank, and it was the smaller gun. It was not the bigger gun. It was the smaller gun. And he was like, "No, it probably could take that shot." I was like, okay, so that's realistic enough. But like the way that the tanks were going so fast, he was telling me that the Panzer IV, the main tank that the girls drove, would be lucky to get to 20 miles per hour, which they were clearly going probably 50 or 60, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, no, these people were like speed racing all over the place. I mean, I suppose it wasn't really that fast. It's that fast in like perspective, but like you can tell like in the bits
way more than 20.
You can tell in the bits where in the city that they're going pretty slow.
They're still going faster than 20.
Definitely.
They were going faster than 20 for sure.
I'd say like 30 or 40, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say 30 or 40.
Mind you, we're using American units here.
Miles per hour, baby. The only country that uses this.
Freedom units. No, there's like one other country that does.
Yeah, but who knows them? It's probably some big country, and I'm just an ignorant American.
This is what happens when you let Americans talk about anime.
Gamer, bro. Yeah. So the tanks are going really fast, and I don't know. Like, it was fun to watch, but like, it wasn't very realistic for speed. But like, everything else was so realistic.
Yeah, because they had like crazy zigzag maneuvers, like so quickly. Like these people were like dodging bullets.
Yeah, and that was something I asked him too. I was like, So, like, is zigzagging a typical maneuver? That's something I asked him, and he was like, "Well, were they in an open field?" And I said, "Sometimes." And he was like,
Sometimes.
"Then no." But I guess like if they're in like if you're in like a tight space, I guess it kind of works or it can work because like it might hit the walls or whatever. But like they were zigzagging back and forth so much that like it didn't. I don't know. That just didn't. It didn't feel like how a tank should move.
Yeah, I did
Maybe
not
I'm just
research
ignorant.
I did not research the realism at all. I frankly didn't care about the realism at all. Because watching the tanks run around do tank stuff, I won't lie, that was kind of fun.
It
Like,
was
I
fun.
enjoyed. There were like, over the 12 episodes, there were I think 4 tank fights, and 2 of them took 2 episodes each. Because
Yeah,
the fight
and
against
by
the
tank
British,
fights we mean like full battles, not fights. Tank
yeah,
battles.
because most of the battles were like you have one flag tank, and if the flag tank is destroyed, you lose. With the exception of the battle against the British, because it was unofficial, it was full elimination. You go until someone has no tanks.
Yeah. Which
Um,
honestly, I thought that was more interesting than the flagship stuff.
yeah, I thought we were gonna get like Keijo style, where like everything's a different fight. I shouldn't admit to having watched Keijo.
I'll get to it eventually. It's
Dude,
amazing.
watch Keijo. It's so bad. It's so dumb, and I loved it. I want to tell you about the worst thing that happens in that show, but that you need to experience it
Yeah,
yourself.
don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't spoil it. This is not the Keijo podcast. This is a shot of Weeb.
Keijo next week confirmed.
No, 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 no. It's my choice next week. We're not doing Keijo.
Oh
so,
man.
oh god, oh yeah, we're talking about the battles.
Yeah, the
battles
battles were
like,
fun.
They were entertaining. They were entertaining. Like
They were the
know.
only parts of the show I legitimately cared about. I'll be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this show, it seemed like it was like meant for like a tank. I don't know, like fans of tanks, like people that really like tanks, right? Like not newcomers to tanks, because they really didn't give like any like basic information on tanks. Even though most of these girls on the main school that we were following had never like driven a tank before or whatever.
Yeah, because the main character's school, because she used to represent another school, but she transferred. The school she transferred to got rid of tankery like 20 years ago.
Yeah, and they were like a powerhouse, and then they got rid of it.
Yeah, because she moved to that school specifically to get away from tankery because she had bad times with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were like,
brought it back that year.
and they were like, joke's on you, tankery, join us. Which the student council were interesting because there's like a kid character who just had like the same vibes as Kotori from last episode. And then there was a girl. Did she only have half a pair of glasses? I think she had half a pair of glasses.
Yeah, she only had half a pair of glasses.
I thought it was like an animation thing for like the whole show, and I realized on like the last episode, I'm like, wait, no, she's legitimately only wearing half a pair. What am I looking at?
It's like a monocle, but like somebody just cut off one of the lenses.
Yeah,
instead of an actual monocle, because it still sat on her nose.
And so she's there and cranky at like all times. And then there's one girl who's just kind of like vibing. She does paperwork.
Yeah, she does paperwork. That's her thing. Yeah. I mean, I thought they were like interesting characters. I wish they did more with them, especially the president, because the president was like really smug and like really up on her high horse.
Yeah, the president was kind of fun.
But like, I wish they would have done more, because if they would have done more with her, it would have been so much better.
Mm-hmm. I wish they'd done more with like so many of the characters, because like
every character.
Yeah, because like some of them, what's her name? Freaking Mako, the like crazy depressed girl. That kind of character is usually like my vibe. I get that. Don't at me. I don't have problems. But no, she's just like falling asleep on the way to work, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. I get that.
Yeah, no, she was great.
They have a match that like they have to get up at like 5 a.m. and she's like, that is physically impossible for humans.
Well, no, they say, okay, we're gonna meet here at 6, and she was like, sorry guys, I'm quitting. I can't do this. 6
I'm out of the club. I'm done.
And then they're like, then they convince her to do 6, to meet at 6, and then she's like, okay, well, I guess I can wake up at 6, and they're like, oh no, wait, no, no, we have to be here at 6, so you're gonna have to probably wake up at like 5. And she was like, what's impossible is just impossible. That's what my sub said. I remember that line.
I think that's about what it was for me as well. Because, like, we've talked about this a little bit before. I work, like, evening and night shifts. Mm-hmm. And I like to have time after work to do stuff. So I don't usually go to bed till, like, 6 or 7 a.m. So when they're like, you have to get up at 5 a.m. for this match, and I'm like, no, no.
I mean, I don't like to get up that. I mean, you make fun of me all the time because I go to bed so early, but like I don't like to get up at 5 or 6 either. I go to bed. You do go to midnight.
Bed so early. You go to bed at like midnight.
Midnight. Yeah, that's so late. What?
That's like 6 or 7 hours before I go to bed.
That's the next day.
I'm usually at work past midnight.
Well, that's your problem.
This has nothing to do with tanks. My work schedule has nothing to do with tanks, okay?
That's true. Neither does my sleep schedule. No. But she was kind of fun. I thought when they first introduced her, I think it was episode 2, Miho was walking to school and like runs into her and helps her get to school because she has low blood sugar.
And she's like walking like a zombie through the streets.
And they were both late, and like the hall monitor was like, "Hey, you need to don't help her come to school again. Just come to school yourself." And
yeah, because like, we see.
Okay.
We see like later on that she has like 150 absences or something. Yeah,
because she hadn't gone to school on time once. She was late every day.
Yeah, and the hall monitor was like always on calling her out. I'm going to talk about the hall monitors later. There's a thing I want to talk about. We'll get to it, and it involves character designs.
Yeah, I want to talk about character designs as well. So we'll do that later.
Okay, there's a little bit of plot left. So like they go through a bunch of classes. They informally challenge the British to a duel, and they're just like, okay, and then they lose.
But like, it's a really close loss.
Yeah, they fight the British for funsies, and the British win.
By like 1 tank.
Yeah. And then they go into like the actual tournament. They fight the Americans and win, even though the Americans were cheating.
They weren't cheating.
Well, okay. The rules don't say we can't wiretap them. They're cheating.
No, okay, look. Okay. So I don't like what they did, right? I've had this conversation with a friend of mine before about other sports anime. I don't like that way of playing games or playing sports, but it's not cheating. They are still technically playing by the rules. I will look at them. I will look down on them for doing it that way. But they and plus the leader of them, Darjeeling, didn't know that they were doing that.
Not Darjeeling. These were the Americans. Remember?
That's right. These are the Americans.
It was like Lindsay or something dumb like that.
Yeah, who cares? We have the character sheet pulled up, but like I don't care.
I don't care enough to reference it.
the American leader didn't know they were doing that because she's an idiot and she's an airhead blonde, which haha funny. And the girl who was doing it kept saying, "Women's intuition." Yeah,
because she's just like listening into the Japanese comms.
Yeah, and they know that they're doing this, and so then, one thing I did like about this, I will say, I'll give them credit here, because the way they got out of the situation was through texting, because their communicator was texting everybody, and
that was set up earlier.
Exactly, it was set up earlier because she said, "Yeah, I'm a really fast texter. I can text basically the same speed that I talk," or something like that, something along those lines. And I was like, okay. That was nice. Like you set that up prior. It fit the character because she's always going after. Well, she's always going after guys. I don't know if she's actually going after guys or not though. Like
I think she just says she is.
Yeah.
Either way,
she's always talking. She's always texting people, so she's obviously going to be really good at it. Mm-hmm. And so like it was nice. Like yeah. Well, yeah. And so it was a nice setup. It was a nice setup and like payoff for that.
They set up the joke. They paid off the joke. That's better than most of what this show does.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
it was good.
I feel so bad ragging on a show because I think I already said this. It's hard for me to dislike a show.
Yeah.
But this show, oh man, they just left. There was so much more to be desired. The tank battles were fun, but the rest of it was just kind of like, it was
Yeah.
there.
It wasn't like I'm just super mid on it. I don't even know if I really like dislike it fully.
Oh, and they won. I was going like a really fast summary on the plot. They won all the rest of their fights through like superior cunning. And I'll admit, some of them were kind of fun because they were doing like really stupid, risky tactics because they were like guaranteed to lose otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
should we go over how they defeat the Maus? Because that sequence was kind of amazing.
I actually really liked that fight. Yeah.
So in the middle. Oh no! You go ahead. You take it. You take this. Balls in
So
your court.
the Maus is like this like ridiculously big tank. When it first shows up, they're like, "Oh, a wall is moving in," and they describe it as a tank on top of another tank.
Yeah, I think
And
one of the
that's how
characters.
Miho gets this idea. Yeah, it was Saori, the communicator.
One of the characters
texture
says
girl.
that it's the heaviest tank that was made during World War II.
I think that was the tank nerd girl with like the really big poofy hair. Came out like
Yeah, that one girl.
yeah, whatever her name is. I could literally scroll down one time on this page and I don't care enough. But like she said that, and then like after Saori says like, hey, it's a tank on another tank, then Miho's like, oh, brain blast, and she figures out the way to beat it. And so the student council president, or the student council, like goes at it, dips their turret down, and like shoves underneath it as like a wedge, and like a ramp, like ramps it up.
Yeah, so the tank can't like move, so it can't get away.
Yeah,
Because their tank is like significantly smaller, and it gets like between their treads.
yeah, because the mouse is huge. It's so big. And then I believe it was the volleyball team.
I think it was the volleyball team
who goes on the top of the tank. They like ramp off of the student council to get on top, and like then they wedge the turret to the side.
Yeah, because they lured the Maus into shooting to the side, so its turret was turned.
Yeah,
And then the volleyball gets in there and blocks it.
So it can't turn back around, and so then the Miho and her crew go up this hill and beside it on the opposite side opposite where the turret's facing. So it's on the other side of it, and they shoot at these vents that have opened up because the turret's turned, and that's how they defeat it. It's a lot more cool when you watch it.
Yeah, because they have to like shoot it from the top, and there's like a ton of setup in it. And they actually, honestly, trading one tank for the Maus is like really huge because the student council tank gets like destroyed because it got crushed under the Maus.
Yeah.
Like they're able to drive away, and then it breaks down like 10 seconds later.
Yeah, but it was worth it because that Maus was probably worth like 5 or 6 tanks.
Yeah, because the Maus took out, I think, 2 of their tanks on its own easily.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it took 2 tanks out like with one shot, and like they were shooting it repeatedly and could not like even scratch it because it's so well armored. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, because
about tanks.
That's one thing that bothered me is like how do the rich schools not just like automatically win? What happens if a guy, because the national finals can have up to 20 tanks. What if they were just able to buy 20 Mauses? They just win.
Well, okay, but like then there's also you have to think tactically, right? Because the Maus is it's really slow. If you're able to take out its treads and stuff. I mean, like that was a German tank, right? Like the Germans clearly didn't. Okay, let's think about that word. It's a German word, clearly. The way that it's spelled, Maus, it's clearly German. But like it's a German tank, and like that would, so they didn't win World War II. Thankfully, thankfully.
Oh my.
We're not getting any more into that.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. They didn't win. I wonder if the Maus was still in development. Because there's one thing I noticed in like the in-between episode that I watched half of on accident is they made a note that like tanks that were still in development during World War II were allowed at the discretion of the people running the tournament. So like you could use tanks that were used in World War II, and if the tourney allowed it, you could use tanks in development during World War II.
Yeah, well, the Germans weren't allowed to be developing anything after World War II. I'm pretty sure that was in the treaty they signed. they couldn't have a military or anything.
Well, no, but if they were developing it during it. I don't know. I didn't research the
They
mouse.
used it.
I'm not going to research the mouse.
Because all of these tanks were built then. Like, they were, like... Because it said, like... There was a couple times where they said, like, how many... Because, what was that, like... that really, like, slow tank that overheated and stuff that the main... Our school
that
had.
the mechanic team had. I don't remember what it was called.
The automotive club had. I don't remember the name, but, like, they were like, hey, this tank, the tank nerd was like, oh, this is such a rare tank. They had so few of these in development. So I'm pretty sure they went with, and by looking at the wiki, it was the number of tanks that were developed, like, and actually built during World War II.
Yeah, because that was one thing is the main school, like, they started with a few tanks, but then they kept adding more tanks to the roster as they found it, and they, like, always had, like, individual, like, groups of students in them that were already, like, uniquely definitive. That's one thing I want to talk about later. I don't want to go too much more on that right now. But they did have one, it was, like, the heaviest tank that the main character, the Urai Girls Academy, was able to get together. But, like, the thing is that it was, like, super prone to getting stuck or breaking down. So they put the mechanic team in it so they could literally fix it while they were in battle.
Yeah.
Because it was that malfunction prone.
Yeah, they didn't even know that, like, at one point, like, in a battle, they're like, oh, it's starting to, like, overheat. And one girl's like, I got it, and just hops out and, like, starts to work on it while it's running. And, like, Miho's like, oh, they're fixing it while it's running.
Miho's like, bro, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea. You should never work on a motor while it's running, but it's anime magic.
I don't know.
I don't know, but, like, the mouse was really cool. That was a really cool fight. Like, the tactics that went into that was clearly, clearly the people who made this show know tanks, right? Like, they're tank nerds. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the main character, like, part of the thing they showed was that she's already used to tankery. She knows part of, like, the next level strats or whatever, and so they let her be lead. And she does come up with some really good moves, and they do some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's another
it's,
fight...
Like, really interesting strategies that I don't think... I don't know if they would really be able to be applied real world.
Yeah, because who's, like, going to drive a tank under a mouse and then on top of a mouse to, like, pin it?
Right, exactly. Plus you have all these other... It's not just tanks. You have other infantry and stuff. But, like, it was really interesting seeing the tactics they were able to create with the limitations of each tank and throughout the tank girl battles. Oh boy.
Again, the battles. The battles were interesting because the tactics are weird. They have this one bit that's kind of hilarious because it was in the same fight with, like, the final team when they're fighting the main character's sister, and they have one tank just, like, go rogue. They have the student council tank just, like, drive through the enemy tank's ranks, like, too close for them to shoot. Like, literally at one point there's two enemy...
shot themselves, yeah.
There's a row of enemy tanks, and the student council just drives in and parks between them, and it's just kind of like, yo, what's up? And that was excellent. It was so stupid. It gave me this impression... I don't know why this was the thought I had in mind, but it was kind of like... I pictured kind of like a samurai military, organized, rigid, all in order. And then they're, like, up against a redneck with a shotgun in his pickup truck just driving between them. That's, like, the image that was in my head. I don't know if it makes any sense.
That's pretty accurate, honestly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It was so dumb.
Because it's, like, these, like, wild strategies that you would never think of just, like, on your own, but, like, it made sense.
Because they're so stupid. Because they're stupid, but they worked, and they had to do stupid because they're significantly outnumbered. Like, the final battle, they had, it was 7 or 8 tanks versus 20.
No, it was the final battle was 5 to 15, I believe. And then
no, that was the battle before last, because the finals were allowed 20. The other Japan team had 20.
Oh, you mean just, like, the total numbers. I was talking about, like, the actual final fight between them.
No. I mean the numbers going into the final match.
Yeah, it was 20 to 7.
I think it was 20 to 7.
Yeah.
Because that's all their school was able to put together. It might have been 8 or 9, because I think the main school started with 4 and then found 2 more and then found 2 more.
So they started the first battle against like the British people. It was 5 tanks.
If it was 5 tanks, and then they found 2 more 2 other times. I know that for certain.
Okay, then it was 9 total.
So it was 9 versus 20.
Which is ridiculously outnumbered.
Yeah, either way.
Okay. And I think that's a good place for us to have our break, and we'll come back in and talk about each of those teams. So I think we have some stuff to say about those teams.
Yeah. Definitely.
So if you're listening on Anchor, there will be a short ad break here, or on a pod audio only.
Because
if you're listening on audio only, there'll be a short ad break.
That's finally off the ground, so bear with it.
Yep. But if you're listening on YouTube, it should just automatically cut back to us rambling about these tank girls because oh boy,
we have more things to talk about, but hopefully some of them will be good because I do have good things I want to talk about.
Yep. So we'll be back here shortly.
Welcome back, my friends, to the second half of A Shot of Weeb episode 7 question mark 7, I think.
Yeah, it's 7. You said it was 7 at the beginning, and it's still 7.
I don't usually say important things, so I tend to forget what I say. Before we get too much farther, during break, you said you wanted to bring up something specifically about episode 10, yes?
Yes. So there's one
go ahead
thing.
And take that.
It kind of relates back to earlier in the episode where we were talking about drifting, right? Tokyo drifting, right?
Okay.
So there was a quote. I didn't write down the actual quote because I was too lazy at this point, but I did write down like a general like thing of what they said, and they said like you can't drift in a tank, but they had been doing that the entire show.
I mean, they didn't drift so much as like skidded on bad environments. Like when they were fighting the Russians, they slid down a hill.
But they were purposefully drifting, like, and they would like turn around fully to like face the enemy and stuff. There was drifting going on.
Okay, I suppose to a degree, yeah. Because I mean, that came back in the final episode. This girl was like, the main girl was like, "Hey, how quickly can you skid around this point?" And they're like, "We can do it fast, but it'll completely demolish our treads." And she's like, "I don't care."
She's like, "This is it. The one shot, one kill.
If you had one shot,
I hate
one opportunity."
Oh no, that's even worse of a reference. Actually, I don't know if that's worse or better.
Wait, what were you referencing?
Widowmaker. One shot, one kill. Let us know down in the comments what's a worse reference, the Eminem song or Widowmaker. I just died. Oh god, it was so cancerous to say any of that.
You five.
I didn't even fake. I didn't even do anything. I was speaking.
Stop talking before you hurt yourself.
And sorry, now who's the one who's hurting himself? Okay. Anyways, let's get back into this. So we were going to talk about each team individually, which it wasn't going to be a lot. I think we were going to give like minor descriptions of who each, because like every tank, at least in the main school, every tank was a different club, right?
Yeah, and I will admit that was one of my absolute favorite things in this show. I did really enjoy the different personalities in the different tanks, with the exception of one of the tanks that just had like some nondescript girls in it that were just kind of there.
Wait, which one?
But I don't know, the one that had just like basic girls. The one that wasn't any of the other clubs. Because basically there was the tank that had the main girls in it, and then there was a tank that had the student council. There was a tank that had the volleyball club in, and the volleyball club were the best, and I want to be friends with all of them.
They seemed pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, I could chill with the volleyball club. And then there was one other club. I'm guessing they were like supposed to be a historical society or whatever, because they just kept like quoting wars.
The history club.
Yeah. And then later on, more clubs joined because the mechanics club joined.
Automotive
club. Also, yeah, the automotive club. Sorry, the automotive club were equally as excellent as the volleyball club. Like the automotive club and the volleyball club were like the best people ever, and I want to give them high fives.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
And then there were the pro gamers.
Yeah, yeah. I wrote.
Do you want to talk about the pro gamers because they were relevant for like 10 seconds?
So I wrote when they were introduced, which was episode 10. I did take a note about this. One of the 2 notes I took at episode 10, the other one about the drifting. This is my quote word for word. Literal World of Tanks players, true gamers. Because what other game were they playing besides World of Tanks? Because they said they played a tank video game online.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like this one girl shows. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say this is also their first time meeting IRL.
Yeah, because like one girl comes up to the main character and is like, "Can I join the tanking club? I play video games and I like tanks." And her name is like Neko something.
Yeah,
and she has cat ears.
Yeah, that's how I remembered that part too.
Yeah, real. All right, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, it's another Sakura moment.
And they go to get in a tank, and she invites 2 of her gamer friends. And like you said, they directly say, "This is the first time we've met IRL." And,
yeah, and I don't remember what the I didn't pay close enough attention to the Jap. At this point, I'm not gonna lie to you. At this point, I was kind of scrolling through Twitter while watching the episode. There was not full attention being paid to this episode, but I didn't pay attention to the Japanese, but the subtitles said IRL. They didn't say in real life. It said IRL. I don't know what you're saying.
Yes, that's how you know they're gamers.
They're true gamers.
I'll admit, I did.
They're using leet speak.
I did have a habit of tabbing over and reading Discord whenever something wasn't... Because, I was, semi-invested from, episodes 9 to 10 in, the last 2 fights, because that was the fight with, the Russians and then the fight with the Japanese. Those were both kind of cool.
Yeah, I liked the Russian fight a lot, actually.
Yeah. But then the rest of it, any of the, in-between episodes, I was just kind of... I was, bouncing between monitors, and I probably missed stuff, and that's my own fault, but,
Hey, we never claimed to be the definitive source. If the show doesn't interest us, we're going to be bored and go look at other stuff.
Yeah, no, because, I watched the first 2 episodes, and I nearly messaged Seaweed and was like, this was a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I were watching the show on my own with no ties to the podcast, I probably wouldn't have finished it. I probably would have given up after 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have even put it on my list after episode 1. Just wouldn't watch it anymore. It's not... I mean, I would have gotten to it eventually because it's talked about somewhat, and I just kind of wanted to see what all... Oh god, I'll get into that later.
I probably would have finished 2 episodes because the end of episode 1 had me intrigued, even though they literally barely picked it up after.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I didn't finish talking. I loved the designs of the individual teams, because even the gamers had some fun designs, because they bring in this one girl. They were in the intro, and I was, waiting for them to become relevant again, because the intro that the gamers join in is the same episode that the automotive team joins.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the gamers has, these spirally glasses and cat ears, and then one of the gamers has, a crop top and a peach eye patch.
Yeah,
and I'm okay.
She's my favorite.
And I'm okay, these characters have cool designs. Obviously, they're going to be villains or something. I can't wait till they show up. And then they show up, they get in a tank, and we get into the final battle of the series. And they're eliminated 10 seconds in because they I suppose they're important. They accidentally put their tank in reverse and block a shot that would have killed the flag tank. Oh boy, there go my notes.
Yeah, no, it would have killed the flag tank, so they saved the match at the beginning, but it was a complete accident, and
that's the only thing they do.
I guess I would rather them than one of the teams that had joined at the beginning.
Yeah, and had time to be with the club, even if they didn't really develop. But yeah, but still, I still think it's hilarious that they take a whole aside sequence to introduce and quote unquote develop the pro gamers, and then eliminate them 5 minutes later.
Yeah, no, that was great. I mean, I liked the gamers. They were good, and
I'm glad the automotive team stayed longer though, because I love them.
Yeah, the one thing I did also like about the game. This might sound weird. This will sound weird. I It's nothing, not that weird. I liked how like the designs for all the gamers weren't like super attractive girls. Like they looked like okay, yeah, no, that sounds bad, right? But like you understand what I mean, right? Because like every other girl in the show is designed to be like attractive. I don't know how well it works, but
They're
like
I was
that's
gonna
like
say I think
the
they're all
intent.
supposed to be like quote unquote adorable, but the gamers are quote unquote weird.
Yeah, and like it's a stereotype. Yeah, no, like, most definitely. But like also like I don't know. I thought that was a good way to like kind of differentiate them and show like they weren't popular because like they weren't like the cute girls, quote unquote cute girls, right? Like they
Yeah,
were
because
like
like
the outcasts kind of. But like Miho didn't care either. Like Miho didn't care at all, which was like also nice. Like that was good. I thought that was good that like it didn't matter like Miho didn't care at all. Like the main girl didn't care at all. Like what
yeah, she just
she
like she
looked
just
like.
takes them in immediately. Like, oh, you can drive a tank, cool, you're in.
Yeah, like she didn't. Yeah, she didn't care, which I thought was nice. I don't know. Like it's a weird thing. It's a weird little thing, but like most of the time, in most especially like cute girl anime, every girl is cute.
Hmm.
Like there's a best girl, of course, or like multiple best girls, but like there's never like a quote unquote ugly girl. Like I wouldn't say that these girls were ugly either, but they were clearly like eccentric. I guess that's
You
probably the better word for it.
Oh yeah, no, they were definitely a bit enthusiastic. And as a gamer goblin myself, I understand this.
Yeah, you're more of a gamer than I am. Um,
I'm more of a goblin than you are.
hey, let's go, dude. Um, but
I
yeah,
took an Uber to Walmart today, and it was the first time I'd left my house for anything other than work in like weeks.
oh, that's amazing. Okay. Uh, yeah, I don't know. That's just one little design thing that I liked. I
Yeah,
didn't like. I mean, I guess we can go ahead and go talk about the designs a little bit of the characters. Like,
yeah,
I didn't necessarily like the designs. But like they were very clearly like anime designs. Like they fit
hmm
the stereotypical anime, but they were also distinct. And like when you see one of these girls, you're like, that's from Girls in Panzer.
yeah. And I actually really appreciate the varying designs, like especially when those got incorporated into their actions, which didn't much. It was mostly with the volleyball team because there's one bit the volleyball team they're like trying to drive away from a tank or whatever, and they've got like these smoke bomb pellets.
Yeah,
And one of the like the volleyball team captain is out of the top of the tank, like spiking the smoke capsules
yeah, it was
at the
great.
tank behind them.
Yeah,
And that was so good.
yeah. Oh, and one note about that too. So like I had a couple translators notes on my subtitles, right?
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, and one of mine, the only one I actually remember, it was really funny because it said because one of the girls said reverse libero, right? Which a libero is like the defensive
Hmm.
player. Like you've watched Haikyuu, they can't
I've
attack.
not.
I know you haven't. This is for the audience. You haven't watched a 10 out of 10 anime, but like they say reverse libero, which isn't a position. It's not a thing in volleyball. And so like the I paused the translator's note to actually read this because it was kind of long. And it was like a libero is like the defensive player, whatever. And then it said reverse libero. Yeah, that's not a thing. So like whatever you think it means, I don't know. Good luck. It was great. It was a really nice touch. Like I like those kind of translators notes.
It
It was
reminds me of the. Have you ever read any of the Discworld books?
no.
Oh, that's highly unfortunate. I absolutely love them, and one of them was actually required reading at our college. I didn't take that class, unfortunately. But he puts footnotes. Terry Pratchett puts footnotes in his books, and they're always excellent, and they're always about stupid things, and I love them. That was the
Yeah.
same vibe I got from that.
Oh yeah.
Tangent over. Read
It's
his
great.
books.
Yeah, no, the translator's notes, there was like there's only like two or three of them, but they were all good.
Hmm.
So like, yeah, I was very appreciative of that.
Translators note to all people named Tomei: this is not the opinion of the directors.
What are you talking about?
We talked about this last week. Why do you always forget about the previous week?
What? What translator's note? I didn't see a translator's note last week.
when they talked about when they named Purple Hair Girl, when they named Toka, and they tried to name her Tome, and they're like, no, that's an old name. I won't do it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, no, I'm dumb. I'm dumb. Yeah, no, I'm sure if you're smart, unlike me, you got that joke. I didn't get it because I'm dumb. I'm an idiot. Okay.
Okay, I think this is the precedent for our show. Neither of us have any memory of any episode before the one we're currently talking about.
No, I will remember the episodes as long as it's not last week's episode.
It either has to be current or old. You can't remember last week's.
Yeah, I have like there's that weird gap in my memory. You know, you gotta let it ferment in the mind.
Meanwhile, last week's is the only one I ever remember.
There we go. We fill all the gaps. But yeah, okay. So like I don't know. There's like I guess like the different like clubs. They were more like gimmicks.
Yeah, they were gimmicks, but I really appreciated them regardless.
I think they were good gimmicks. I liked them. They weren't like I don't even want to say they're gimmicks because like, well, no, I do want to say they're gimmicks. Because they didn't develop it at all. But like, it was every gimmick was distinct. They didn't like reuse gimmicks. They didn't really reuse jokes either, which I appreciated.
And they also didn't reuse tactics. They did something different every time.
That's true. That's true. Which was another really good thing, I think, because they didn't just keep reusing the same thing again and again. Like when you, like for instance, if you watch like a shonen anime, you know, like for instance, let's just say Naruto. Let's just say Naruto. I know you haven't seen Naruto, Wob. But like in Naruto, you know, you've got the Rasengan. It's the move Naruto, or we'll even go earlier. We got the Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Naruto hey, I've heard of that one.
There we go. See, he learns that in the first episode, and he uses that's like his trump card for so long in the show, and he just keeps.
I thought his trump card was Exodia, the Forbidden One.
That's Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh my god. Play a good card game, not Hearthstone. Play something good like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where the rules change every month.
Oh, that sounds like a bad time. I played MTG when I was little, and then someone sold all of my cards.
For the best, I would say. Yeah, no, like it was very refreshing having different tactics every up. Nothing was reused, which I think is simultaneously a detriment and a positive because like we never really saw them do that like they never like spiked the smoke canisters again.
Yeah, no, that was just that one time, and they wanted to like really reinforce that it was a volleyball team, except for dialogue, because like they riff on dialogue a bunch, especially with the history team. They're just like, this sounds like this battle. No, this battle. No, this battle. Yeah.
Which way, like in the Russian one, like I thought that was really good because like they were like maybe because it's the only reference I got. Like really, they're like this reminds me a lot of Stalingrad, and they're like, no, don't say that. No.
I did not get any of the historical references, I'll be honest.
Well, Stalingrad is the one where, like, okay. Oh, God, I hope I got this right. I'm pretty sure Stalingrad is that battle where the Nazis tried to, or Hitler tried to, like, invade Russia during winter. And so, it was, but, like, they weren't
used to that one?
cold. I think so. And so, like, Russia just completely stomped them. And so, that was kind of the setup for this also, is, like, the main girls, like, what was Owari?
I don't know.
Owari?
Oh, the school, the academy? It was like Owari Girls Academy or something like that.
Yeah, Owari Girls Academy. And they were at the disadvantage because they had to go, they were the away team, quote unquote, and they had to, and it was snowing, it was winter, and the Russian team, the you know, quote unquote Russians, it was their home turf basically, and so like that's why they were like saying Stalingrad, and they were like, don't call it that because we're gonna lose, which I don't know, I thought that was kind of nice, a nice little gag. That was one thing they kept bringing back, like, yeah, the dialogue is the only thing they really like kept going as like references, none of like the actions, so like the volleyball team would kept like calling out like volleyball moves for their tank, and stuff. They'd be like, "Go, we're gonna spike this. We're gonna spike this. Get the point," or like something. I don't know.
This barrage is no worse than a spike from a mid-range team.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Whatever.
I don't know. They were adorable, so they get a pass.
Exactly. And while we're talking about things we liked, one of the things I did like also was at the beginning of the show, they painted their tanks. Like these really ridiculous colors. Like the student council did gold, really shiny gold. I'm pretty sure the volleyball team did pink. The history team did like a bright red and like put flags on it as like a conqueror thing. I don't the other team like did like it was like kanji graffiti basically on the side.
Yeah, something like that.
It's the best way to describe it. But I liked how like they did that in the first battle, and then they were like, "Oh, this is actually like really unhelpful. This is actually really bad because like the British team like killed the history team because they could see the flags over the wall, even though the tank wasn't visible, but the flags were."
Actually, the history team did get a little bit of use out of that though, because in the fight against the British, they did get one sneak kill because they parked in an alleyway that was covered in flags.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, they did get one sneaky kill because they were hidden in a bunch of flags.
They might have, but like, they also got killed because of their flags, and they probably also wouldn't have been seen because their tank was, like, which they said as they were going there, like, this tank's so short they won't be able to see us, and then as they're saying that, we see them only like from the like essentially British point of view, where like you just see these flags moving behind this wall, and so it's so clear where they are.
I actually missed this point because I was still. Oh, sorry, jeez. I was still a little bit like in and out during the first fight because I hadn't gotten to the point where the battles were actually interesting to me. I was still in that like in between episode stage where I'm just like, yeah, let's just get this over with. Because I think I messaged you. I watched 7 episodes the first day, like split up with other stuff in between, because I didn't want to leave that much for today. To give you guys a little bit of idea of my schedule, because of my work schedule, I have to watch whatever show we're talking about the day before recording. And I usually split it up to be part the day before recording and part the day of recording before we record.
Right.
I tried to get as much done yesterday with stuff splitting it up in between because I didn't know if I would be able to just sit down and watch the rest of it today. I didn't think I'd be able to do it. I was that disinterested through the first half.
Yeah. I mean, I was the same as you also, I mean, I told you about this, but like the first night, I think I told you I was gonna, after I watched 2 episodes, I was like, I'm just gonna watch 1 or 2 more. I don't want to stay up too late. And then I ended up watching 3 more, which by that point it was like 1 a.m. for me, which is very late for me. Because I didn't want to save 8 episodes for the next day because I knew it was going to be painful. And it was, and it was kind of.
Yeah, I went through 7 episodes the first day, and that left me 5 for today. And I was able to get through them pretty quickly because it was the fight against the Russians and the fight against the Japanese, and both of those were pretty interesting.
Yeah, they were
comparatively interesting. They were comparatively interesting on the other hand.
Yeah.
But those first 7 were so slow to get through. Like I said, I watched a couple, and then I played StarCraft with a buddy for a few hours, and then I watched a couple, and then I went and watched some JoJo's, and then I watched a couple more.
Yeah. It was really, really slow, and
so slow at the beginning.
Yeah, and like, there's just not enough character development to keep you. I'm sure, like, I feel like if you actually like know about tanks and like care about tactics, like you'll get more out of the show,
Yeah, even though we're Southern, I don't think either of us are gun nuts.
No, I don't own a single gun. I don't even have a Nerf gun. Yeah.
We had swords on our wall growing up. Those are kind of like guns, but melee.
I have a katana over in the corner, so like there's that.
Jeez, dude, I don't have any swords. They were all my dad's swords, and I no longer live with him.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of like. I feel like if you like tanks, you might like this show, but this is not the review segment. I want to talk about the Russians.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about the Russians because I was honestly ready to go to the review section.
I liked. Well, this is like my last thing I really want to talk about because like I really liked the Russians. I thought the battle was interesting, especially because it like added more to the rules because like the like higher ups were like well, kind of it added more to the rules because there's a mention of like the like people over like the referees, I guess. I don't know, like they were saying like, oh, well, we might want to like we're gonna review and see if we're gonna continue this match or if we're gonna end it, because they have been surrounded and were stuck in a church. Maybe this is how. I don't know if this is how real history went. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, well, I do care, but like.
May I detour a little bit before we go like super deep into the Russian discussion?
Yeah.
Russian discussion. It rhymes. You mentioned the referees and like the guidance people. I remember I was in the middle of one of my breaks. After having watched some episodes, I was playing StarCraft with a different friend than the first time. I played StarCraft twice. And I can see you losing it over there.
I know what you're talking about.
And they introduced the club leader. She doesn't do jack shit. She's never here.
Well, she was just
like
the coach or whatever, right?
The counselor or overseer or whatever. She's like the official lead. And her forehead is so big. And so I'm just sitting, I'm playing StarCraft with a buddy because I needed a break. And I see a Discord notification. I tab over and it's a message from Seaweed with a screenshot of the Tankery official leader. And all he wrote was Megamind looking ass.
Okay, look. I was this close to like to going into Photoshop and changing her skin to blue because it was ridiculous. She looked like Megamind.
And I tab over and see that, and I'm just dying. And so I respond. I fire back by sending a picture of Code Lyoko.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. It's like oh man, it's so her head is so big, and like it's not just like it's not like it's like a one frame thing either or like a one shot. Her head is big the entire show. Every time she shows up, her head is massive. Like you know that meme of like the like big brain, like the man sitting in the chair that's made of his brain.
Yeah.
You know, that's what this girl is. That's what this woman is. She has this massive head that she could probably sit on. It's awful. It's the worst. I hate. That's the one character design in this that I like hate. I legitimately hate it. It's the worst.
I absolutely. My favorite thing is whenever we're watching a show for this podcast and I get some sort of just like random out of context image from Seaweed because they're always amazing.
They're the best. It's so good. Oh, man. I'm a comedic genius in those DMs. You know?
I'm sorry. I had to detour to talk about Megamind looking ass.
I'm so glad you mentioned it because like I almost forgotten about it and I did want to bring that up because it was great. It was because her character design is so bad. It's god.
Crap! I remembered something I wanted to bring up like ages ago, but it's way too late for it. I'm gonna bring it up anyway because I don't care.
Who cares?
We were talking about the characters. We were talking about the history club, and one of the history club girls is in like full military regalia at like all times.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like a dweeb talking about like, oh, it's like this battle. But there was one sequence that made me really warm up to character when her and the fanboy girl from the main cast go on like some reconnaissance while they're fighting the Russians. Actually, so let's get this back on track. While they're fighting on the Russians, they do some recon, and they're singing like this military jingle about like we're gonna walk through the snow till we die or whatever. And
the Russians are.
No, the Russians weren't singing that. This was the girl in military regalia and the fanboy girl.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, and they're singing like this wartime song, and even though they're talking about like how the enemy is absolutely going to kill them, it's bizarrely adorable, and I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. I liked all the like. This is not a musical. I would not call this show a musical, but I liked all the songs in this.
Yeah, they had the fish dance. What was the
Yeah,
fish dance?
I don't know. I've seen that gif so many times, and I didn't realize it was from the show.
Yeah, because there's one sequence where if you fail, you have to do this traditional dance, and so they do
That
this.
was after the British fight.
And so the main characters, as well as the student council, I dropped my pen. The
Well,
main
all of them,
characters,
all
as
of
well
them
as the
did it.
student council. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, all of the like main teams did it.
I think it was
All
just the council and the main characters.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Because, like, her condition was that the main character had to do it. The main character's friends were like, we're not going to leave you be. And then the student council was like, we screwed up too. Let's get in there. And they
Oh,
have
okay,
to,
yeah,
like,
that's
ride on the back of a truck doing this dance in, like, a pink morph suit with a fish face or whatever.
Yeah.
And it comes back again during the fight with the Russians. Everything came back with the Russians. What's up with that?
Maybe because it was the best part of the show.
They're like, everyone's like super in despair, and they're like, we're trapped in this church, we're gonna lose here. And then just out of nowhere, she's like, I know how to cheer everyone up, and starts doing the fish dance. And it's just like, what?
And then she's like, my favorite part, she's like, everybody sing with me. And nobody sings. It's so just her. It was so great. She was like, come on, everybody, join in, please, so I'm not so embarrassed. And everybody just kind of still stares at her like, And I think like
Yeah.
the other people in her tank were like, I think she's trying to cheer everybody up, but this is not the right way to do it. I'm
Well,
pretty
no,
sure
but they
that's
end
what
up
the
joining
something
her
like-
because
they end up
Hana's
joining her,
like,
but that's like what they said.
yeah, because Hana's like, I won't let her be by herself or whatever, and like runs in to go do it too. And there's one shot, I think this was from the Russians' point of view. I think the Russians were like looking at the church, and there's like these 20 girls doing this traditional fish dance in the door to the church or whatever. And it's just
no.
why?
No, it was the TV, like the cameras for like everybody watching it. It was the camera was watching them, so everybody in the stands could see them. The Russians could probably too, but then like this one Russian girl comes over because like they were talking about like a surrender thing, and they're like, we'll give you 3 hours to surrender. That's when this whole thing happened. And this girl comes over to say like, your time's about up, and she comes over to the side, just watches. She stands there for a bit, and she's like, hello, and they're like, oh. They don't even know what to do. It's great.
Yeah. And I also noticed during the Russian sequence, so like all of the Japanese characters obviously speak Japanese, and then the American and the British characters will like throw like English phrases in there from time to time, and it's traditional Japanese English.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Russians also threw in Russian phrases, and to my American ears, who don't speak a lick of Russian, I'm like, wow, their Russian's really good. I'm curious how bad it actually was.
I want to know that too, yeah, because I noticed that as well. Because they would do the same. It was essentially the same thing as English, where they would only say like one or two words at a time. But it
Yeah, because
sounded,
like they
it sounded so
they tended to
fluent
say
because
like
I don't
goodbye
like
in Russian.
Yeah, and they said a couple. They would like say like kind of like cheers, kind of like a hooray kind of thing, and like other,
Yeah.
like random weird words. It was really weird what they decided to say, but it was the same thing they would say in like English.
With one exception. There was like the angry Russian lolly. Okay, so the like leader of the Russian team is this cranky tiny girl.
She's great.
I hated her. But she has like an assistant who's like this tall black haired girl, and at one bit like during the stall, like they gave them time to surrender because the main Russian girl wanted to sleep or whatever, and
She
her
wanted to
assistant
eat and
starts
she wanted to
singing a
sleep.
lullaby in Russian.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, that's nice. That's okay. That's good.
Yeah, that was good, and I also really liked when the fight started against the Russians, and they were singing this. I guess it was like a Russian war song. I'm not really sure, but like that's what it sounded like, and they were like singing that going into battle, and I really liked that song especially because it was all in Russian, and the subtitles I had, they put like the subtitles in English, and they also put it in Russian.
Oh, I missed
Which
that.
was, yeah, it was a pretty long segment because
I don't remember that.
but like the song, I don't think it was a traditional song because they were talking about the main, like the Russian lolly, and then like they're like, she's so great, she can't be beat, and then the Russian lolly comes in, and also it's important to note the Russian lolly only speaks in third person. Right. She says her name every time she mentions herself. She doesn't say I. I don't even remember her name. But like
It was a long Russian name.
She was singing about herself like the highest praise possible. It was great.
I can't believe I don't remember this. I don't remember the sequence
at all. It was in episode 8 because that's the only thing I took a note about in episode 8. I said I really like the Russian song.
I'm gonna have to go check that back. I don't remember it.
You should. It was actually really fun. But the lullaby was great too. The lullaby. I wish the lullaby lasted longer. Like I wish instead, because like it was only like what, like a couple lines.
Yeah, I think she said like 2 lines before it cut away.
And I wish that it it could have even cut away, but I wish it would have still like you could have heard the lullaby, her singing it as it was like going, because they weren't really talking. The like main characters weren't really like talking. It was just kind of like scenes of them silent. So I think it would have been really cool to have that lullaby continue throughout.
Absolutely.
And that would have been a really nice touch there. But they didn't do that. So.
By the way, I'd like to say I double checked my episode 8 notes because you mentioned that. And one of the things I wrote down is something I forgot to mention during the club mentions. One of the tank teams is 3 girls that were the hall monitors. We're introduced to a hall monitor because she's sassing the depressed girl about being late. It turns out there's 2 more of them, and they all look exactly the same. They have the worst haircut in this show. It's these 3 tiny girls with like a bowl cut, and I don't know what it was about. I hated it.
I did like that they all looked exactly the same. I thought that was really funny. But no, it was a terrible haircut. It was a terrible haircut.
Yeah, because they riff on the hall monitor like aspect a whole bunch of times. Because there's one bit they like ride into battle in their tank and they're like, the hall monitors are here to bring order and justice or something like that.
Yeah, and then like there's also a point like after they join the club, because they don't join not the club. They don't join the Senshodo team till like midway through the show or something. But like
they join right before the Russian fight.
Yeah, and like they're like looking for more tanks, and they're like driving through and like, we're the hall monitors and we're here to protect your safety and like keep you happy. If you see a tank, let us know. And that was great because it was so ridiculous.
Yeah, and they go looking for tanks on 3 separate occasions, and the tanks are always in the stupidest locations. Like one of them was driven up a wall in a cave. One of them was in the bottom of the water.
Yeah, one of them was like disassembled completely, and people were like hanging clothes on it and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then the one that the pro gamers find, because in the episode the pro gamers and the mechanics join. The mechanics are able to rebuild the heavy tank.
Yeah.
But then the pro gamers ask to join. They're like, sorry, we don't have a tank for you. And she's like, are we not going to use the other one? And they're like, what other one? And there was literally one sitting in the parking lot with a school sign hanging on it.
And everybody was like, oh, well, we just kind of thought that one didn't work anymore.
Yeah, because I noticed that. I actually noticed that earlier, because when they were like wandering around saying, like, does anyone have any tanks they don't want? They stand in front of that tank in one of the shots.
Oh, dude, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I noticed it like in the background, or rather it was half in frame, and I'm like, wait, there's no way that was actually just a tank just sitting there. And they go back with it with the gamers, and I'm like, wait, it was.
That's good. That's a good callback, though, because they were talking about how like they all knew it was there, but they just didn't think it worked. And so, I don't know, and so that's good that they like introduced that earlier. I didn't notice that. So like props to the show for that. They did do pretty good. Like generally, I think they did good with like their callbacks. Like nothing came. I don't think nothing came out of nowhere. Right?
Well,
like everything. Most things were set up before, even if they were minor like that.
Most things were set up before, but there weren't many things that needed set up.
Right, but like what needed set up was set up. It wasn't. There was no Deus Ex Machina in this show.
Yeah, that's still barely a credit because it's like 5 items though. Like for the most part, I mean, there wasn't a bunch of stuff just out of nowhere. And yes, most of the things that were a payoff were set up early on, but there weren't many things that were a payoff. It didn't really feel like it to me.
No, there definitely weren't. I mean, like, just like what needed a payoff. I think it was even though they didn't have a lot that needed payoff. What did need payoff? It was like it was good they had that set up before.
Yeah, so
Like,
they get
even
I don't know,
like
they
her,
get like half a point in my book for that.
even like the main. Oh man, let me pull up the page. Miho, is that her name? The main girl.
Miho,
Even,
yeah,
like, her,
Miho Nishizumi.
Yeah, because her backstory. That's how the show starts. Is with her like backstory, kind of. Well, no, not really, but like a little bit. But like you see her, she wakes up from a nightmare. Is how like the show starts. So like they had set even like her PTSD kind of thing up earlier, which I liked because like otherwise her personality didn't give that off at all.
Yeah,
Which is
and
fine,
I was
which is fine, you know, like I don't know how PTSD works, but like I don't think it's just like a constant thing that like
I mean,
affects you.
I'm not I don't think it's supposed to literally be PTSD. I feel like it's a little risky saying it is.
Well,
But
I think
like,
that's what they're trying to do. I don't think it's supposed to be literally PTSD, but I think like that's like the general
I mean,
gist
possibly,
of
because
it.
she did like try she like specifically was trying to distance herself from Tankri after
Yeah.
the incident, because like her mom nearly disowned her for losing her the match.
I mean, she tried to disown her throughout the show too.
Yeah, because it would have been their 10th year in a row taking finals, or something like that, or 10th win in a row, something.
Yeah, it was the 10th win in a row, I think. But yeah, no. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, no, you're right. Like nothing. There wasn't a lot that needed to be set up, but what needed to be set up was set up. So like, props for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's. Should we just go into like final thoughts? I think we're running out of things.
Yeah,
I have a
I
couple like
think
other just like random bits and pieces here that aren't really work. I
Okay,
wrote
go
down
for-
a
go
note
for
that
it.
just said "dragon wagon" because I thought that was a hilarious phrase.
That's great. I don't remember that at all.
No, they were in the
That's
cake
great.
shop, and like it was the tank themed cake shop when they first
that's
meet her
right.
sister,
That's
and they
right.
order all the different cakes that look like tanks, and it comes in on a tank train thing, and they're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, what's that?" And one of the characters goes, "Dragon wagon." And I'm just like,
Yeah. Oh, I do remember that now. Yeah, that was good. I did like that. Yeah, that was good. And yeah. Did you have any other like little notes you wanted to say here before we
you know what? If you also have some minor notes, let's just rapid fire like individual unrelated points. Do you have anything else worth saying?
I do
or is
have
it just me?
I have a couple like really minor notes that weren't gonna be said.
Okay.
Otherwise.
Let's just rapid fire notes. Let's alternate. I'll go
Okay.
first. First of all, it's so weird that they brought in like the fanatic girl into the team because she literally just stalks the main character through like the first episode, and that felt really weird to me.
Yeah. No. She was. It was really weird, and like she was super polite to her, like treated her as an idol.
Yeah, she calls everyone Domo, which I don't actually know that
No,
honorific.
Dono. It's like like it. I think it's like. I don't know the honorific fully like in the ranking scale, but I think it's like on the same like as Sama. I think it's like a general. I think it has to do with war. It's like general. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a little weird. Your shot. Go now. Take a shot.
Okay. So in episode 12, there was this like when they were after they beat like the final tank that like big tank that was blocking the entrance, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like the enemy team.
Yeah.
Okay, and like they were going in, and like the second in command of like the Japanese team or whatever. And she had her head out of it. She's like, we're on our way, and it looked like her head was scraping against the ceiling. And I just wrote, insane girl on enemy team scraping her head against the ceiling was Kino.
Yeah, because it was like
it's
very clearly shown that there was like barely space for that tank to squeeze through, and I don't know how she wasn't literally losing the top of her head to that tunnel
It
entrance.
literally looked like the top of her head was scraping against the ceiling. It was great. Yeah. All right, your turn.
My turn. Literally the first episode. I messaged Seaweed after the first episode because like almost all of the tank stuff was in 3D, which I mean, yeah, okay, it can be done well, it can be done badly. It wasn't great in this show, but it wasn't always awful. It got better as it went on. But in the first episode, there's like this first person fully 3D sequence, and it made me so dizzy, and I did not want to keep watching.
that part was bad. Um, and then we had another point where during they did that a lot. The like whole first person tank view.
Well, they only did it like 2 or 3 times. They didn't do first person much. They did 3D tanks a lot, but they only first person like 3 times.
Okay, I guess yeah, 3 times. Okay, let's see. What else do I have? Um, I don't know. I mean, I've said this before. I really liked the Russian lolly. The Russian lolly is great, and like her when she was like on top of the shoulders of like her seventh band, and like cheering on the like main school. That bit was great because then like she would get like super embarrassed, she'd like fall back and then like get up and then like her face would go red because she almost fell off. It was great. It was adorable. I liked that character a lot.
Yeah, the tiny Russian was not allowed to be wrong. She'd get angry if she was wrong.
Yep.
Episode 11, they did a really cool thing because the engineering club or automotive club or whatever, they're the best. I love them. They took their super heavy tank. Everybody had to cross the bridge. All of them crossed the bridge. Automotive went last, and they popped a wheelie in their tank to break the bridge behind them to slow down the enemy, which was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I really liked how like the other team was like, they just broke the bridge, and they're like, oh, what? Well, darn, I guess just circle around then. Yeah. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, we mentioned it kind of. That dance was super weird. It was super out of place. It didn't like fit with the rest of the show, but it was great. It was like a really good like comic relief thing. I think the comic relief generally in the show was pretty decent.
Yeah, they did keep that pretty standard. I don't think I have anything else really to riff on other than the fact that like they're kind of stupid. I think this was a fight during the Russians when they just like their one tank like initiates them by themselves out of 15 and then runs off, and I'm like, hey, look, it's a trap. And main girl's like, oh no, this is a trap. And all the other tanks are like, yeet.
Yeah.
And then they fall in a trap. Big surprise.
Yeah. All right, this is the last note I have, but the in the beginning of the Russian fight, like Miho the whole time was like, no, we don't want to go in, don't go in. Everybody's like, we should just all charge in. And everybody's like, yeah, we should just charge in. And every club of like says, let's just charge in. It'll be a lot more fun. And she's like, all right, I guess we'll just charge in. And it's like, okay. Cool. I guess
no.
But...
Because every club says let's charge in, and the main girl changes her opinion. Says, "Okay, let's charge in." They're like, "Wait, what? Really?"
Yeah. And then, because the student council was like the whole time like kind of the leaders, but also not the leaders at all. It was so weird.
They're the leaders of the school, but not the leaders of tankery.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was the student council were also just a lot of fun.
All right, go through the rest of your notes, your little one notes.
I don't think I have any more one-offs that are worth mentioning. So why don't we give our final summary?
Okay.
This is going to be a little bit of a short episode. We apologize, but like also that's kind of okay because we tried to shorten it before and failed.
Yeah. All right, you go first here.
I go first. Okay. So for context, I specifically wrote down today. I reevaluated how I rank shows on the 1 through 10 scale, and I wrote it down. I have it here, and basically I divvied it up into sections of like these numbers are for shows that are actively bad. These numbers are shows for boring. These numbers are shows that are good. Blah blah blah. und Panzer. If we ignore the fact that I thought I was getting a drastically different show than this because I'm an idiot and had it confused with a video game. If we ignore that fact, this show had good elements. I loved the individual designs of the clubs, especially when that shone through in their tactics and actions in battle. The battle sequences were fun enough. The rest of the show, I did not care about. I was not invested in the characters. I was bored during the in-between sections. I kept having to tab out to do other things because it wasn't holding my attention. This show had good elements, but overall, it was so boring. I don't think I can in good conscience recommend this to other people. It may just be that it wasn't for me. It may just not be for me. It could be a great show. I don't know. But on my enjoyment of it, I was bored out of my mind for all but the last 4 episodes. And so it falls into the boring / made no sense category of my rating chart and is going to be getting probably a 5 out of 10, if not a 4. It may be low enough for a 4. I don't think it is. I think it's going to be a 5.
Okay. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. I don't, this show is definitely not for me. It's not my thing. I mean, there's not, a lot of extra stuff to it. I'm probably just going to go ahead and bite the bullet, eat it, and watch everything else. The movie's supposed to be really good. I think this is kind of more for tank nerds, right? And with that being said, this show for me was a 5.5, 5.5.
5.5. Oh dang.
Yeah. It was, especially that the last half, I will say I enjoyed, but I think that was mainly because it was almost completely tank battles. There wasn't a lot of other stuff going on. And I liked the tactics that they showed throughout the show. Thought that was interesting. The one note characters were, they kind of, maybe this was a bit of Stockholm syndrome, I don't know, but they kind of grew on me a little bit. Yeah, that's why that's why I'm giving it a 5.5. I don't necessarily think it's a good show. I couldn't recommend this to somebody and just say, hey, watch it, unless I know that they liked tanks, military stuff, that all that jazz, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm sitting on it. There wasn't enough to it for me. Normally cute girls is enough, but not in this case. Not this time.
Yeah, that's not enough to hold my interest either. I think we wound up in about the same spot with this show.
Yeah, which is surprising. This is the first
very
time
unusual when we agree.
Say this is the first time that's happened.
Doubly so when we agree on a show being bad. We've agreed on a show being good before.
That's true. But we did still find something to disagree with because the Russian lolly is good.
Oh, bad. Okay. I'm going to detour for a split second, even though we're done with the episode.
Okay.
You can tell that I had no interest in this in any of these characters when I couldn't even remotely begin to guess who a best girl is. There's no best girl because none of the characters do anything.
Yeah. I don't even think there's a best girl. I just the Russian lolly was just cute. I still wouldn't even call her best girl, It was, yeah. No, I'm kind of on the same boat with you as well. But that's very weird for both of us. We can normally find a best girl out of anything.
Honestly, we have bad taste. We can appreciate almost any show, but this was just a chore.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yep. I wish it was better because there was some stuff I don't know. I went into the show excited. And I don't know you knew it was you thought it was a different thing.
I wanted to see girls transforming into tanks, dang it. I thought that's what it was.
I knew what this was and I was excited because I heard good things about it and I don't know, it was a slog, to put it nicely.
Yeah, it was really slow at the beginning. It was okay at the end, but that's because the end was literally just tank battles, and that was already the only interesting part of the show.
Yeah. Which okay, I know we're at the end. I just want to make one minor note. All the tank battles were in CG, but it was very well done CG.
It was decently well done CG. I stopped noticing it.
For 2012 CG especially, It was
Okay,
good.
yeah. This was a bit ago.
Yeah.
This was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, the CG, I stopped noticing it like later on. It was pretty rough for like the first episode. Because like I said, episode 1, which was, it turned out later that was a sequence that was taken from the fight with the British like 2 episodes later.
Yeah.
That first sequence was really painful, especially because there were like the 2D girls like leaning out of windows in the 3D tank, and I'm just like, nope, that bad.
Yeah. See, there was a couple times in that last fight where the 3D tanks, they looked good. The tanks generally looked good, and I think that's because they're not organic things. But like when you could see the anime girl poking out of the tank, and like there's a couple times I noticed it was CG, and I was like, oh, that's not good. And I think it's because it was an organic being.
Yeah.
You know, so like I think they had that going for them, but like I don't know, I was impressed by the CG, I guess, but I don't want to dwell on that too long because we are at the end of the episode.
Yeah. TLDR, this show was okay but boring.
If you like tanks, watch it.
If you like tanks, watch it. If you don't, I don't know.
Whatever.
It's probably safe to skip.
Yeah, it's probably safe to skip or to try it out. If you don't like it by the first episode, you're not going to like it. It's my thing.
I wouldn't say that. I would give it to episode 3 because that's when the tank battle happens, and the tank battles are redeeming. But if you can't bear the first 2 episodes, it's not worth getting through the in-between episodes.
Yeah. Don't expect any character development. But we've been rambling for a little bit here at the end.
Don't expect characters.
Yeah, we've been rambling a bit here at the end, so I guess it's time for us to
announce next week, which I've already forgotten what it is because you changed it on me last second.
Okay. So next week it's my choice. So it's going to be it's clearly going to be a good show.
That's questionable, but continue.
We're going to be watching Tonari no Seki-kun, or My Neighbor Seki-kun, The Master of Killing Time. It's a banger. It's technically a short, but it's 21 episodes. It's great. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. I know you're going to like it, Wob, because it has a white-haired girl in it, and that's your favorite.
That is not a guarantee for anything, you 5-head.
I know, massive brain over here. But yeah. So thank you for watching, or listening, or watching. Oh, boy.
Thank you for being here. We had actual engagement. People left comments. There's actual people.
Thank you for leaving comments. That was great. That was amazing.
We screamed into the void, and the void screamed back.
It was great. We really do appreciate that. And we probably will be doing Assassin's Pride.
No, shut up. You're spoiling things. Get out of here.
I'll cut that out. But yeah, okay. Anyways, thank you for listening to this episode of A Shot of Weeb, episode 7.
Episode
I hope
7.
that's the right number.
Man, if this is the wrong episode, hold on. I can double check. Let me get the sticky note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We were right.
Oh, we're real gamers here, guys.
Pros. We're experts.
So thank you for listening. We will see you again next week.
Saturday at 5 p.m. U.S. Eastern.
Yep, on YouTube and everywhere else you listen to your podcasts. Thank you for listening. We will God, I've said that so many times already. We'll see you next week. All right.
We'll see you next week. Bye.